Thanks for joining the webinar today. We're going to talk about marketing automation. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask them in the chat. I'll try to monitor that periodically and answer them as they come in, if they do. If you raise your hand, I probably won't see it. So just drop anything that might occur to you in the chat, and we will go from there. So talk about marketing automation. And this is part of our accelerated growth model, which I talk about every time we do these things. And it's really just a series of actions that you can take, when you're marketing online to get the best possible results. And there's really three phases to it. You want to drive leads, you want to maximize conversion, and automation is a part of that. Then you want to optimize results. And so as I do these webinars monthly, I try to hone in on specific pieces of this to give more information about why it matters and what you can do. And so this particular topic is going to be a little bit about automation. And this is all part of the digital dominance method that we teach, which is, it's very competitive online, and, you can pick and choose, but eventually you really want to be getting all of these things right, because each little part plays a piece in you being as successful as you can be in bringing on new customers. And so why should you listen to me? I wrote the book, Online Marketing for Garage Door Companies. We work with dozens of garage door companies. I run Garage Door Marketers. I've been doing this a long time. I've owned a digital marketing agency for 13 years, near about. We've been doing this a long time. We have a lot of experience across many, many, many industries. And we happen to have some special expertise in garage doors. And like I said, we work with a bunch of them every day. So we think about, what are some of the biggest challenges that you run into when it comes to marketing? And what we hear most often is there's not enough leads, not enough phone calls, these sorts of things. Similar to that, we'll hear, well, it's low lead quality. Okay. And, related, the lead cost is either too high or the return on investment is low. And that can be true. That can be true as you're getting started. That can be true as efforts are getting dialed in. It certainly does and can happen. But sometimes there are other things going on there which maybe can obscure what's actually happening. One of them is a lack of clear tracking. You may not always be capturing everything that's going on. And sometimes there's just too many options for doing that a lot of the time. But what I want to focus on is, is it really a problem with leads, or is it a problem with unconverted leads? And there's an extra slide in here that's a duplicate. I'm just going to delete that now. So are they unconverted leads? And so here's the problem. And this isn't from internal data. This is just very broadly across all industries. We've seen a pretty high variance within the garage door space. So I don't want to give specific numbers here because people wonder, well, but this doesn't match what I do. So just broadly speaking, when people come to your site, at minimum, 50 to 60% of inbound leads leave unconverted. So maybe they called, maybe they, fill out a web form, and a massive number of web forms don't convert. Now, a lot of that can be spam entries, people offering cleaning services and just goofy things like that, or, selling links or cheap SEO services. But a lot of times it is actual web forms. Like this has happened to me numerous times. Just personally, I tend to not want to get on the phone if I don't have to. So I'll look for a web form, or I'll look for a chat. And so as I'm looking for local service providers, I'll typically fill out a web form. And almost rarely do they ever get back to me. It blows my mind. How much business they're losing by doing that. And we see that in the garage door space as well. So it's a big problem. And the reason this is a problem is because, and if you think about how you shop, this will resonate as true with you. Leads that are not followed up within 15 minutes go cold. People are like Amazon-ified, if that's a word. Like they want results now, they want delivery now, they want an answer now. That's just how things are now. And so, if you don't get back to that lead within 15 minutes, it often will go cold, and typically because they've called someone else who did answer. And not only that, but the average customer, and this isn't necessarily for repair stuff, but this is just broadly speaking across all leads, installs, all in, just on average all across the board. The average customer must be followed up with 5 to 7 times before booking. This is true. And not only that, but consumers generally tend to prefer via text message versus phone call or email. And I think that's skewed more towards the younger folks, the millennials and maybe even Zoomers now if they buy houses. But they're less inclined to do phone calls or emails. Now I tend to be email, but I'm older, and I know we have customers and people interact with us via text messaging all the time. So I know this is true. And the solution is you just have to leverage marketing automation to do the follow-up. It's automatic, it gets it done, and you're not one of those who doesn't respond. So this is really important in kind of helping you stay in the game for leads when they're reaching out. So what you want to do is leverage that marketing automation to follow up with web forms within the first 2 minutes via phone, email, and text. Now, you may not want it to automatically dial for you. That's a little bit more advanced, and you can do it, but very minimal email and text message if you collect the phone numbers. You want to respond right away. And you can also automate the follow-ups, say after you do the quote, or it depends on what software you use to manage these things, but there's always a way to do it, to automate the follow-up so that every prospect is engaged multiple times, after the quote, before they actually sell. Don't just let them hang out there, but you want to reach out and follow up. And so that's basically what you need to do. And we'll unpack that a little bit, but that's what's going on here. And it's really simple math, the impact that this has. If you get 100 leads and your conversion rate's only 30% and you don't follow up, then out of those 100 leads, you're going to get 30 book jobs. If your average ticket is $650, that's $19,500 in revenue. Okay. But if by following up both on the inbound side and after the quote, you can make that conversion rate 70%, which is certainly possible, then you get 70 book jobs out of those same 100 leads. And with the same average ticket, now you're booking, $45,500, or a difference of $26,000. So the same leads came in, they weren't necessarily bad leads. They weren't necessarily, overpriced. The problem was in your follow-up. And so, it wasn't the volume, it wasn't the quality, it was you and your business process. And that's not always the case, but as a business owner, you want to evaluate these things and make sure you do everything you can to maximize every possible opportunity you get. And so these kind of things are very important. And it makes every lead more valuable. It just does. It makes sense. If you get the same number of leads, but you convert them more, every lead is worth more. Just basic math. It has to work out that way. So, what are some of your key takeaways so far? I think the main one would be you got to do this, right? You can't go wrong. I mean, you could spam people. I mean, you could go crazy with it, but don't do that. But it's clearly something you want to be doing. So let's talk about 3 ways that you can do this and increase your conversions. And the first one is, engage your customers how they want to engage with you. It seems obvious, but not always. We don't always make it easy for people to connect with us. And really, a lot of this is about text messages. And I don't really like text messaging with businesses. Like, that's not what text messages are for me, but it's changed. And so, I know that we do it, and a lot of people like to do that. That's fine. And statistics do show that text messages far and away are opened and read and responded to. And consumers are more than 5 times more likely to send and receive text messages than phone calls. So if you're not giving them this opportunity to engage with you that way, you're shutting some people out who will find someone who will talk to them that way. So it's something that you want to do, and it's something you want to make possible for them. Second thing is follow up quickly. And as we talked about, leads go cold within 15 minutes. Now, I'm sure that varies. If you have a strong reputation, it can offset that to some degree, but you don't want to leave things like that to chance, especially when you're paying for leads. And, if you get them right away, it's way more effective than calling them 30 minutes later, because, when someone has decided to take action, they're ready to go. They're ready to at least find out more and talk to someone. And if you don't get to them till half an hour later, they may have already talked to 2 or 3 people and they're like, okay, whatever. I don't need more choices at this point. Right. And so it makes sense, after 5 minutes, the odds of qualifying a lead drop by 80%. So it's really, there's that window of opportunity there where you have got to get them. And what you will see, what other studies have shown, is that 50% of leads go with a vendor that responds first. And, that kind of makes sense. I mean, a lot of times people don't take the time to research, reputations or quality of work. They just want it done. All companies that provide services are the same, and until they are unhappy with it, and then they'll tell everybody about it. But there really is an advantage to being the first one in to answer, and so you want to be fast about this. Okay, and then the third thing is leverage automation, and that's what we were talking about. Is use tools that exist to do these things. Okay, and the ideal outcome is that every lead gets an email and a text within 30 seconds of submitting that form or whatever, and a call from someone at your company within 5 minutes. And so you can set up automations to do this, which is, the automations can handle the email and the SMS right away. Those are just happen automatically. But then you get an email or you get a text message, or your salesperson or whoever it is gets that notification right away, like, hey, call this person right now. All right. So you've got an entire process automated here where the customer is handled directly, and you or your salesperson is notified, get on this lead right away. Okay, so that's one. You get that set up, you're going to have much better success. And number two, once you've presented to them your solution, whatever you're talking about, whatever you're offering, install, service, whatever, follow up, check in on them. Don't be annoying, but don't let it go till they tell you they're not going to do it. And sometimes they'll ghost you. I mean, that happens all the time. But have this as a practice, and you're going to increase your conversion rates. You see it time and time again. And so this is an example of just sort of like an automated workflow here. I'm not going to go through all of this, but just to give you an idea, you really can set up pretty complicated things, and you can test different things. And, this is the sort of thing where, certainly we do this, and we'll hear some people say you send too many emails, and we'll have other people say, man, I'm glad you sent that email, or I would have forgotten about the call. So, you're going to get mixed results from it. But ultimately, you want to look at, what are your metrics? Do people show up? Making a change, does it improve that? And, you just want to kind of tinker with it to get the best possible results. There isn't really one clear right way to do it, other than make sure you're doing it and not leaving it to chance. And so, if you followed up with all your leads in that way, would you convert more of them? And if you're not doing so, the answer is undoubtedly yes. And, you can look at an example. Here's another one of, say there's, 400 leads, you're converting 40%. That's, you can do the math here. But if you go through and you increase your conversion rate to 65% on the same number of leads, same average ticket, you increase your revenue by $104,000 here. So, this is one of those things where, once you set it up, it just keeps going back to the bottom line month over month over month. And it makes everything cheaper. It makes your leads look better, makes your business look better. And there's really no possible downsides to doing this. It's extremely important to do. And it's one of those things you'll never be sorry that you did it. And it can be hard to measure the impact. I mean, unless you're tracking things really well ahead of time and you make the change, you're like, oh my gosh, look at the change. But it's one of those things where when you do it and you see it work, you know it was a smart thing to do. And so how do you implement this in your business? And there's lots of ways. There's a number of tools that do this. We'll talk about that. I'm sure ServiceTitan has things that do this. I don't know. We don't obviously use it because we don't do that. But it's one that I know has some pretty advanced and neat capabilities. I don't know about Housecall Pro if it has that or not. But these are things that you don't need to buy necessarily expensive things to do. There's tons of tools out there that handle individual pieces of this. And so, the basic picture is either running Google ads or doing SEO or whatever is bringing people to your site. They get to your site and they complete a form. And that form, when they complete it, takes them to a thank you page. They give them some information and it kicks off these automations. And that's basically whatever platform you use, that's basically how you set it up. Okay. And so, you can get a quote buttons, you can have these forms, and these forms are the key to kicking these off. Okay. And these are just examples of forms. I don't know why we have multiple of these in here, but that's what it is. And so the idea here is, so the customer lead comes in, they submit the form, and then bam, they get a text. They also get an email. And then based on the customer's replies or lack thereof, there's further follow-ups. So, a customer says yes, they can get a certain message. Customer says no, they'll get a different message. So you can, depending on the software you're using, you can tune the response to how the customer responds. Or if they don't respond, you can send them another message after waiting a certain amount of time. There's tons and tons of different ways you can do this. And this is where you can kind of adjust it to the way that you like and the way that you want to see it working. You can also, if you have it set up, you can, if it works for your business flow, how you do this, you can also give them direct access to a calendar to schedule their call. And that's, of course, what we do. If you've done a call with us, we capture some information. We give you a calendar to book. And if you don't book, we chase you a little bit to say, hey, don't forget to book your call. Once you book the call, there's another form that collects a little more information that will help us give you a better presentation, more customized to you about your competitors and things like that. And so if you don't complete that form right away, then we send you another, like, hey, you got to complete this form. It's going to give you a better call. I don't remember what it says, but, make sure to fill this out so that we can make sure to give you the best, most relevant possible presentation. So these are all automations, right? These are all follow-ups. And, it's all designed to just kind of make sure not only that when you book a call with us that you show up, but that your time is not wasted, that we can really give you the most relevant possible presentation for your market because you told us the information we need to make that for you. Okay, so there's lots of different ways you can do this, but that's how we do it, and you can adjust that to do the things that you need also. So and here's just an example too. So you submit the form, and now as far as the company goes, you get these notifications too. So here's an example of a push notification if your software supports it, and an email. And so the software that we use supports both. And so if you're a salesperson or your booker or whatever, whoever's doing it is sitting there at their computer and this lead comes in, they're going to get a push notification email that says, hey, you need to take action on this right away. Okay, so not only has the customer been notified, or the prospective customer has been notified, but the responsible person at your company has been notified that there's an action they need to take right away. Okay, and so all this happens automatically, and so people are able to focus on the next steps, what needs to happen to make these things move forward. And again, you can make all kind of crazy chains here, and you can see, this kind of links everything I just showed together. So you've got, the form fill on the front end. This kicks off a text and email to the customer. It also sets off a push notification and email to the person at your company who handles this. There's another follow-up after that. And, here's the scheduling thing. It's all one big sequence, which just kind of flows people down the process to showing up for what they need. And you make sure that you're handling your side of the business too and delivering them what they need. And so it's really, really powerful. And this is the kind of thing that, if you don't have in place, you're working way harder than you need to be to chase down leads. And, you're just less effective than you can or should be. You shouldn't have to get to everybody manually, because they'll also wonder if it even went through, and they'll just move on to somebody else. So there's something very powerful about, they opt into you, they reach out for information and bam, you hit them right away. We got you. Someone's going to call you within 5 minutes. here's your information. We're going to call you at this number. I mean, however, you can capture those things and be like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Any questions, respond to this email. We got you. So, these are great systems. They really have a strong effect. And, it's really important to do that. And this goes for all of your sources of leads. Maybe not Home Advisor. I mean, Home Advisor and Thumbtack are a little different in how they handle things, but anything that's driving traffic to your website or your phones, you want to have this kind of stuff set up because it's just going to do a great job for you. And so remember, if you don't follow up within those leads to those leads within 15 minutes, they're going to go cold on you. And you can just have something that does it automatically. So leads will never go cold. You will always get them. They'll always hear from you. You'll always be in the game. So it's a no-brainer, right? And, a follow-up within 5 minutes is 21 times more effective than calling after 30 minutes. So don't let it go. And I understand, if you're doing the jobs, if you're installing the doors, if you're taking the calls, it's not always feasible to do that right away. And therefore it's even more important that you have those automations in place to get them taken care of right when they reach out. And then you call them when you can. And you can even say, hey, look, I might be working on a project right now, but I'm going to call you back as soon as I can. And then you do. And the people understand that, unless they're just, unreasonable. And then you probably don't want them as your customers anyway. And 50% of leads go with the vendor that responds first. You'd be amazed how many people don't do this stuff. Vast majority. Vast majority. Be the guys that do this in your market. You'll see the results. And get the text messaging done. And it can be hard. I don't want to give people my personal phone number. I don't want to talk to customers. I mean, I love you guys. I don't want to talk to you on my private phone. I don't want you to text me 11 p.m. That's not what I do here. And so you don't have to do it on your personal phone. There's different ways you can do this, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So ask yourself, will this make you more money? Yes. There's no doubt, unless you're already doing this, the answer is 1000% yes. There's no doubt about it. Will it help you convert more of your leads and grow your business? Yes. It's one of those things that can't fail. You don't want to say that. You don't want to be like, well, it can't, but really it can't. I mean, people are fickle and they're impatient, and you just gotta, it's not going to change. You can't get around it or avoid it. So just work with it and make it work for you. And that's leveraging marketing automation to fill that need. Okay. And remember, it translates right into the bottom line. This doesn't increase your lead cost. You've already spent this money for these leads. Unless you don't have the software, there's no additional monthly cost. It doesn't cost you a dime, for more leads, but it directly translates into more business. Absolutely a no-brainer. So I want you to consider that maybe you don't have a lead problem, you have a conversion problem, and really it's easily solved. So we have a way of solving it. Revenue Commander. And so this is software that we use. Everything that we do is built on this. So when you sign up for a call from us, you're in Revenue Commander. When you contact us via email, via text message, you're in Revenue Commander. And it all flows through there. All the automations, all the emails for this webinar, everything flows through there for us. That's how we do this. That's how we do. That's how my team runs it. Everything I'm talking about here is what we do. And it's made a noticeable difference for us. And it will do the same for you. And not only that, Revenue Commander itself, it doesn't just do marketing automation. It does a ton of stuff. I mean, depending on what you're paying for, it can replace $1,000 in monthly software charges. It can be your CRM. It can do your sales funnels. You can put your website in there. It does surveys and forms, call tracking, all kinds of stuff. It's amazing software. And you can get started with it now for $97 a month. It does everything you need. It's not ServiceTitan. It's not Housecall Pro. It's not a job scheduler. It doesn't do that. But from a marketing and a customer management standpoint, it's amazing software. We use it, and we keep building additional functionality into the snapshots that we deployed for our customers to make things better for them. For our customers, we put their forms on it. We start setting up sequences on it. that you can run your email marketing through it. You can do all kinds of stuff. It's great. And so if you need help, haven't seen a lot of questions today, which is totally fine. Drop one now if you got it. Otherwise, I always want to invite you to experience this for yourself. If you haven't already, go to garagemarketers.com/apply now, fill out the form. It's going to kick off a Revenue Commander marketing automation sequence. It's going to wait to see if you fill out the calendar. If you don't, it's going to bug you. And if you fill out the calendar, it's going to wait to see if you fill out the form. If you don't fill out the form, it's going to bug you until you do. And then it's going to follow you. I won't say chase, but it's going to follow you. It's going to remind you, hey, you got a call coming up. Don't miss it. Okay. And it works. I mean, it's improved our show rates. It's annoyed some people, ticked some people off, and they don't show up. Okay, fine. If you're going to be that upset about emails, like, go ahead. You know, if you don't like marketing that works, be my guest and figure it out for yourself. I'm okay with that. And if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to do the forms, just give us a call. You can call us at this number. Unless Jason's busy, he'll answer, and love to talk to you.